Comrades in Arms, ladies and gentlemen. This is a program of interviews done at the Royal Canadian Legion, number 98, at Kingston, Nova Scotia. And the purpose of these interviews is to highlight the careers of our members who served in Canada's armed forces. Well, as I've tried to tell you many times, I was in the Navy myself. I say that no one pays any attention to me as I'm showered with people from the Air Force, Army, and everywhere else. And this time, I thought, by George, I'm going to be lucky I've got a chap to interview from the Navy. But this dear gentleman that we have today that has a most interesting story to tell started off wanting to be in the Navy, but he didn't make it. Now I'm going to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to Mr. Albert Lewis Fitz Randolph. And he wound up in I'm afraid to say this, but it's true, I think a more exciting thing than the Navy even. He was in anti-tanks, and that makes you a pretty busy person, especially if you're in the battles that happened after D-Day in France, which he was. So we're going to get on and interview Albert, if I may, sir. Thank you for coming and joining us.
And thank you for having me.
Bless your heart. Yeah. Now, sir, you were a Nova Scotian.
I was
True Blue, born in...
I was born in Lawrencetown.
In Lawrencetown.
On the 19th of January, 1915.
1915? My gosh. You're older than I am. I was born 17.
Yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to be 85 years old.
My gosh, you look very splendid for that, I might say.
Well, I can blame that on the good care I've been getting down to the vet's wing.
Good. Now, you grew up in Lawrencetown?
Yes, I was born in Lawrencetown, grew up in Lawrencetown.
And how old were you when war broke out in 1939? We don't need to do the maths for that, but you can tell me.
I was 23 years old.
23 years old.
Yes.
So you were eligible age for whatever you were going to choose.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you do? You joined the, wanted to join the Navy, I know. What happened?
I was waiting for a call. I was down to Halifax and had my medical.
Yes.
And they told me to wait until they called me.
Ah.
And I waited until that was in 1939.
Yeah.
In 1940, there was a recruiting team came to Middleton.
Yes.
Recruiting people for the 52nd Battery.
Ah.
This battery was originally from Weymouth, and they were guarding the place where the Yarmouth Airport was going to be built.
Oh yeah.
But then they come to Middleton recruiting people
to go with that battery
for the 52nd Battery. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And later that battery was joined by 3 other batteries to make the 3rd Anti-Tank Regiment in De Burt.
Oh, I see. So so you decided you'd join that?
Yes,
You got sick of waiting
yeah,
for the Navy.
yeah.
So and you really wanted to get joined up? Was that it?
Well, that was it. Yes.
Yes. You were young, and the excitement of war.
Seemed to be the thing to do. Was
yes. Everybody was
defend your country.
Exactly. So anyway, you joined up and went where?
Well, went to Aldershot. For the first go.
Yes.
Went to Aldershot on the 27th of June, 1940, yeah. And we stayed there until October 1940. And in the meantime...
Now, what were you doing there?
Well,
training, I know, but I mean, what excites
well,
you?
we're doing mostly
Marching
marching,
With
yes.
the gun here? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
no, we didn't have even have any guns
Didn't you?
in Aldershot.
Oh,
No,
you just
But-
went left,
yeah,
right, left, right.
yeah.
From morning till night.
yeah. And there was
Yeah.
only two buildings in Aldershot that time. That was the guardhouse and the place where they sold beer. They were wooden
Yeah,
buildings.
yes, yeah.
All the rest was living in tents.
Ah, oh, I see. Yeah. So now you were getting your first taste of Army life,
That's
eh?
right. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how did you enjoy that? Did
Well,
you didn't mind it.
We've seen quite a lot of the country in the Kentville area,
Yeah.
and and we had one trip over to the Fundy Shore,
Oh, yeah.
and I just forget the name of that place now, but
Yeah.
we had to run and walk all the way over and all the way back.
Oh, and all the way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's how they got you in good shape, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, after you had that, that's basic training.
That's
After you had that, what happened to you?
Well, when it come fall, why we moved, thinking that we were going to go to Tibet.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we stopped at the Pier 21 in Halifax,
Yes?
and we were quarantined there for 2 weeks.
What in the world for?
Well, it was reported that somebody had a case of diphtheria.
In your group?
Well,
or
they wouldn't point out any particular one, but I think it was just because the Debert airport wasn't ready for us, and
of
they
course.
used that for an excuse to keep us.
To keep you for a while.
Yeah.
Pier 21.
Well, we finally got to Debert,
Did you? Yeah.
and we helped grade this parade square.
Oh, you worked at, they were making Debert then, eh?
Yeah.
Constructing Debert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have any place to put up a stove.
Oh.
They had the stoves there, but they didn't have no pipe for the chimney, and no holes in the roof for the pipe to come out.
Good heavens.
But-
So you did all that, did you?
Well,
Yeah.
well, the carpenter done it
Yeah.
in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, now, so you're in Debert, and now, do you get equipment then?
We didn't get no. We had some of us had rifles at that time.
Oh, yes, yeah. But you didn't have trucks or anything like that?
No, we had no vehicles. No.
Okay, so they kept you in Debert for how long?
Well, we were in Debert until 1941.
Oh,
And,
that's a year nearly.
yeah, and I think, in September, why, we prepared to go overseas.
Gee whiz.
But
Yeah, but now, but you were just trained as what when you were going overseas?
well, we were trained as gunners.
Gunners.
Gunners for the Royal Canadian Artillery.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were. Okay.
And in Debert, this is where the 3rd Anti-Tank Regiment was formed.
Ah.
There was a battery from Ontario and a battery from Quebec.
Oh,
and
so eventually then in Debert, you did have guns to train on, and so on.
we had what they called a two-pounder.
Ah, yes.
We just had, I think, 1 or 2 of those for the whole regiment.
Yes.
And we used to do gun drill on it.
I see, okay.
And,
So anyway, now you got finished with that, and did you go overseas then?
we went overseas in, I think it was September 1941.
Ah, okay.
And we landed in Liverpool.
Did you go leave from Halifax, of course?
Oh, yes, we
Yeah,
had,
yeah,
we had
true,
2 weeks with leave,
yeah.
yes.
And you landed in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what were you doing now? Were you on a gun carrier? Were you trained for that, or what were you?
I was not on the gun carrier. I was in the QM stores, quartermaster stores.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, that's an
And,
important job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
You hand out the stuff to everybody.
yes.
Yes, and make sure that's,
Yeah.
ammunition and everything else.
Yes, except we didn't have any
Have any
ammunition to hang out.
No,
And,
but, you would eventually get that.
Oh, yes.
Sure, yes, okay. So that's called Storman, is it?
Storman, yes.
Yeah, okay. So that was,
And I got to be a lance corporal out of that.
yeah.
And,
Do you remember the ship you went overseas on?
Yes, HMS Andes.
Andes. Was she big?
There was a big ship, and it was a new ship.
No.
It had a few cabins in it, but the rest of the ship, they had hammocks hanging.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to climb in a hammock at night.
Oh, gee, if you weren't used to that, that was quite a trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
One in the morning, and then
One at night.
one later on in the day.
Day, right. Okay, so you made your trip over, and then when you got there, you landed, you said in Liverpool?
In Liverpool,
and went to where?
we went to come down to Aldershot,
Yes.
and we stayed in Aldershot one night, and we went out to Sunnybrook, or
Sunny,
something about Sunnybray.
yeah, Sunny Bray, I think it is. Sunny Bray.
Sunnybray, that's
Yeah,
probably it,
yeah.
yes.
And you went there,
Yes.
and was this an anti-tank training place?
Well, it was just a general training place,
Was it?
probably.
I see,
And,
okay.
and then and they would go on these schemes,
Yeah.
and they would have, part of the regiment would have guns.
Yes.
And
So what rank were you at this time?
well, when I was in the stores, I was a lance corporal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now did you get out of stores?
I didn't get out of the stores until 1942, or 43, I guess it was.
It was, all right.
And they sent me a course down to Lyd
Yeah.
to be a number one on the gun crew.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
that would change your life
Yes,
considerably, yeah.
I took that course and
Yeah.
found that quite interesting.
Is you? Yeah.
And
But you're still in England now?
we're still in England, yes.
Okay. And this is 1943, you say?
Well, actually,
Yeah.
that was the first part of 1944, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the invasion there, talking invasion now.
Yes.
Yes. And,
That was on June the 6th.
Yes, and I think the principal thought in training was that everyone was getting ready for the invasion.
That is
even
right,
then,
yes.
Yes. And so anyway, when did you go to Europe, to the war? So,
We went on June the 6th, 1944.
yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We went over on one of the lady boats there from Halifax.
Yes. Oh, really?
The boats that used to go down to Bermuda.
Bermuda, yes, the Lady Rodney or one of those.
I don't know which one now.
Yes, yeah.
But that was one of the ones we went to England.
You were on, yeah.
And we were on the same boat with the Chaudière Regiment
Oh, right.
from Quebec, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And now you had equipment then, for sure.
oh yes,
You had your anti-tank
Yep.
vehicles and everything. And what were they like, Albert?
well, the 6-pounders were pulled by a Brencan carrier,
Oh, yes, okay.
and they went on a different boat than what we went on.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah. But the boat that took ours landed down on not on Juno Beach, but
Oh.
on the beach below. So we didn't get our guns when we went ashore.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
No, you didn't tie up with your guns?
No,
No.
and
Yeah.
our captain took us on a route march right into France,
Oh,
and till we met one of these special forces that had dropped parachuters that had dropped,
yes, yeah,
and he was a sergeant,
yeah.
but he told that officer to get his men out of there just as fast as he could, and he really meant it.
Did it? Yeah.
Well,
Well, yeah.
the officer was a captain,
Yeah.
and he believed him too.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got you out of there, did he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we went back to the
Back to the beach. Back
But-
to
yeah,
the beach. Yeah.
the area where everybody was located.
Yeah. Because you had to kind of muster up and get ready to go.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have gone the route
Yeah.
march right away.
Yeah, when we got back there, these big trucks were coming off of the beach, and
Yeah.
one struck a mine that and blew it up right in front of us.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of put
That
the
got your attention.
fears, yes.
Yeah, I bet you. Now that was on Juneau?
That,
Juneau Beach.
that was on Juneau Beach, yes.
Juneau Beach, yeah.
I think the name of the place was Corsolays or something.
Oh, yes. Were you with the 3rd Division?
I was with 3rd Division, yes.
3rd Division, yes. I
Yeah.
know about that. Okay, now what rank are you now?
I was a sergeant there, or lance sergeant.
Lance Sergeant,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, you were promoted to Sergeant finally.
Yes.
Yeah. And now what did you do then? You got connected with your vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a...
Yeah, the night of June the 6th, our vehicles arrived,
Yeah.
and we immediately got our gun crew together, and
boarded your vehicles, and
Yeah.
got all set. And then where'd you go?
well, on the D1, why, we went in directly in from the beach,
Yeah.
and we met some of our other guns that had been retreating, I guess.
Yeah.
So they took us and put us in a location where two roads meet,
Oh, yeah.
and there we were set up our gun,
Yeah.
waiting for things to happen. And luckily never did,
Nothing did happen,
Yeah.
yeah.
but except that there was a sniper in the trees behind us,
Yeah.
and they had hit this one fellow that was sitting in a Jeep.
Yeah.
And we happened to see where the flash was from the gun,
Yeah.
so we emptied our stun guns in that area,
Oh, did
so we didn't have any more
you didn't have
trouble
any-
with that
With any more snipers.
snipers.
Yeah, so that's good.
And
That's good. Now, were you then a full sergeant? And
yes,
Well,
no, I was still a lance sergeant, yes.
Now, what were your duties exactly in this?
Well, our duties was to do what our officer told us to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the officer was the head of the
We head of the troop.
troop. Okay.
There was
And the
four
troop
guns
was
in
how
the
long?
troop.
Oh, there was. Okay.
Yeah, and he had 4 guns to look after.
But I'm trying to get to the vehicle itself, and how many men were on it?
There were 4 men plus myself.
4 men plus yourself.
Yeah.
Who was the senior on that?
Well, I had a lance corporal. Oh, I was the senior.
Oh, you were the senior on the vehicle. That's
Yes.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
And I
had
had a corporal under me, and then we had three gunners.
3 gunners, right?
Yeah.
So you had quite a responsible position.
Well,
Now, it's an anti-tank vehicle. So you're looking for tanks
we're looking for tanks, yes.
to knock off,
Yeah.
in other words. And how do you do that? With Sten guns or?
Oh no, with your 6 pounder.
6 pounder.
Yeah.
Right.
But fortunately for us, why, what we were attached to the 8th Brigade, the Winnipeg Rifles,
Yeah.
and fortunately for us, why, our guns that had these American, well, they were tanks with the American gun on them,
Yeah.
and they would go with the advanced troops,
Yeah.
and then when they got to their objective, why, they'd call us up, and the other tanks would go back,
Oh, yeah.
waiting
okay.
for another.
Another bunch.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that was interesting. Okay. So now, did you see a lot of heavy action, or were you?
We didn't see as much as a lot of our fellows seen,
No, I see. Yeah.
because we were brought in after the sort of after the battle.
event.
Yeah.
Yes, after the battle.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But still a terrifying
Yes.
experience to
Yeah.
be on that thing.
Yeah.
I would sure hate to come up against a tank.
Yeah.
That's something. All right, now how long did this go on?
Well, that went on till we were starting to go to one place,
Yeah.
and these Allied bombers come along and drop bombs on our headquarters, on a third anti-tank headquarters.
Oh, no.
And,
Your own people, the Allies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was only 3 of them,
Yeah.
thank goodness. And
Gee whiz, and they thought you were a German
Yeah.
position, I guess. Yeah. And they dropped bombs. What happened to you?
well, luckily nothing happened to me, but
Yeah.
the 4th Battery, I guess, had a few casualties probably.
Yeah.
And but our headquarters, it wounded one of the generals there
Oh,
in the 3rd Anti-Tank Regiment.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was a dangerous little time. All right, so how long were you there? Were you in France? Did you go to Holland, or did you go up that way?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Did you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you followed the
But-
Canadian Army,
Yeah,
in other words.
we had quite a few experiences though before
Yeah.
we left France.
Did you?
We
Yeah.
were at Carpacay Airport,
Yeah.
and we were stationed where the town itself was.
Yes.
And there was a big wall around this town of Cannes,
Yeah.
brick wall.
Yeah.
And of course, had been punched holes through holes where the shells had
Hit us. Yeah.
And the gun that was next to mine, they got a hit with one of these buzz bombs,
Oh, yeah.
and I went up to see if I could help him, and
Yeah.
I had to dig this one fellow out of the trench,
Oh, my.
and I come back and I got a stretcher,
Yeah.
and the driver of that section, he helped me bring this fellow out on the stretcher after we got him out of the split trench. And
Yeah. And then what happened after that?
well, then we noticed the Air Force bombing the town of Cannes itself,
Yes. Yeah.
and they really flattened that place
Oh,
with
boy. It
bombs.
was the most flattened place in
Yeah.
France, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. When we
Yeah.
come to go through, they had to wait till the bulldozer cleared the road for us.
It's terrible to laugh about it, but
Yeah.
the road was so crammed with rubble from buildings
Yeah.
from the bombing.
Yeah.
So you went through there, and now there was all those battles, the Bulge, Falaise Gap, and all that. Were you in any of those?
The next thing, after we got through Cannes,
Yeah.
why the division was lining up to go to Falaise.
Yes.
In the meantime, the 52nd Battery got a call to come into a place called Quincy Wood.
Oh.
And there, we just got in there, and our troop commander's vehicle got hit,
Oh.
but it just put it out of action.
Yeah.
And next one, mine got hit, and set a box of ammunition afire.
Oh.
And the one behind me got a direct hit and
Oh.
exploded.
Exploded.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. But I managed to get the fire out on my vehicle,
Yeah.
and we had to get an extra extinguisher from the vehicle where they got hit first.
First, yes. Yeah.
And we
Oh,
finally
boy.
got out.
These are violent times you
Yeah.
went through, yeah. And now, so you left Cannes. This is on the road to Falaise and the Bulge and all the rest of these battles
Yeah.
that happened, yeah. Are you still with the 3rd Division?
Still with 3rd Division,
Division,
yes.
yeah. And keep going.
And
So where does this first burst end up?
well, after we
At
left,
the Rhine, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
after we left Quincy Wood, why we went to I think it was a place called Sluice,
Yeah.
and there the Allied Air Force bombed us again,
Ah,
and this time they got the Polish brigade
yeah.
that was on our left,
Oh, yes.
and one of our batteries was in that too.
Yeah. And they got hit.
Yeah,
Gee,
and that. But anyhow, we kept going,
Yeah.
and while this German gun started shooting at us,
yeah,
and they got 2 or 3 these infantry trucks that had
yeah,
ahead of us,
yeah.
and we had to stop. And when we stopped,
Yeah.
we got out of the carrier.
Well, now, from the moment that you hit the beach at Juneau, you were in battle all the way up through France, weren't you?
Yes,
Yes, until now you...
except that I said we were sort of the reserve.
Yes, you were
reserve, yeah.
behind the main
Yeah.
advance group.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
the people
Yeah.
that attacked it, why?
Yes, you're right. Okay.
Our anti-tank guns were there, but they
Yeah.
were the 17-pounders,
Yeah.
or the ones with the American guns on.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you get to Holland eventually.
Oh yes.
Yes. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of fighting
And
there.
first, we had to stop in Boulogne,
Yeah, Boulogne.
Cape
Yeah.
Grisney,
Yeah.
and Calais.
Oh.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
before we got to Calais, why, the Germans still had this one that they sent the big bombs over to England on,
Oh. Yeah.
and we seen one of those fired.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Wow.
And
Yeah. Like those were the B-2s and...
B-2s, yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a terrible weapon.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't care where they landed either once they get to
no.
England.
They didn't care.
No.
No. Anyway, so you saw one of those shot, and boy, you really saw everything, Albert.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. You were in the thick of it
Yeah.
all the way through
Yeah.
the major battles of the war on the ground.
Yeah.
You might have been a little bit behind it, but you were right there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And
So now you get into to Holland, and then you go to Germany, I guess.
Yeah. But still after, before we got there, why, we went to Boulogne first,
Yes.
and then we went towards Holland,
Yeah.
towards Belgium, rather.
Belgium. Yes.
And there, our job was to occupy positions on these canals so the Germans couldn't use them.
Oh.
And they'd send us in there, and in one place we had 2 gun positions. They were both in these summer cottages,
Oh. Yeah.
and they used to bring our supplies in, but with a
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah.
And every time that tank come in, why the Jerry's across the river would start
Firing at
shelling
you.
us, yeah. So,
Yeah. Oh dear. So the tank drew fire for you.
yes.
Yes. Oh my.
But we got out of that without too much trouble.
Now during all this, Albert, how did you feel about it? Did you, was it a hateful experience, or was it?
Well,
I mean, that's not as stupid a question as it sounds. What I'm trying to ask is, you got some enjoyment out of the camaraderie with the guys, and,
Yes, yeah.
and the fact of the main thing you were doing together.
yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought too much about that until after the war.
I bet you didn't.
Well, actually, until after I got down to the vet swing.
Yeah. So it's survival that
Yeah.
you were interested
Yeah.
in. Yeah. But that's all those Canadian boys that did that
Yeah.
in the 3rd Division.
Yeah.
Boy, it was a long battle
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
Long battle.
And after we got through in Belgium, we come back to Ghent.
Ghent, yes.
And there we were supposed to have a week off,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were in private houses,
Yes.
and the Belgian people, they really used us nice.
Did they? Did
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
But
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
nice to you.
yeah. But we had to leave on the 5th day, and we went
Yeah.
towards Holland then.
Yeah.
And
Where were you when the war ended?
I was in Germany.
In Germany. You went through
Yeah.
Holland.
Yeah.
Then to Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was just outside of one of these prisoner war camps,
Yes.
and and we were really getting lined up for to attack the base there in
Yes.
in Germany.
Yeah.
Emden.
Emden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then finally you wound up in Germany, and the war ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these people that were in this prison, why they started going back.
Oh.
And one thing I don't think I'll ever forget is this: one fellow had a big knife, and this dead cow was laying in the ditch there, and he went in and he cut a piece off of that and took it with him.
Oh no! Gee whiz.
You can imagine.
How hungry he was.
Yeah.
Yes, that was terrific. Well, now, so anyway, now you the war's over, or war ended, when you were in Germany. What happened to you then?
Well, we were in Germany 3 or 4. After the war, we were in Germany 3 or 4 days, and we come back to Holland
Ah, yeah.
in a place called Utrecht.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
Utrecht.
Yeah. And we were we were there probably a month and a half,
Oh, were you?
Yeah. and then
What were you doing there then?
well, we just putting in time,
Putting in time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
well, we were trading cigarettes for.
Of course, yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But you see, let's face it, there were all those men that were used in that advance in the last days of the war, and suddenly the whole thing ends.
Yeah.
And something has to be done with them, and there has to be a tremendous organization
Yeah.
started to deal with all you fellas now that have no place to
That's
go but
right.
home.
And,
Yeah. So,
And
so anyway, when did you know you were going to come home?
well, I knew I was coming home right after that parade they had in Utrecht.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had a big parade there
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
all the divisional troops.
Yes. And then you knew you were going to come home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how did you come home? I mean, you took your weapons with you to England?
No, we left everything there.
Did you? And you flew to England?
No, come down from Utrecht on a
Yes.
train to a place in Belgium
Yes.
that had a ferry that went over to England,
Yeah. Oh.
and then we went over to England, and
Yeah.
I was there probably a couple months before I got a chance to come home.
Come home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they put you on a ship, which
Yep.
I believe
Right.
was the Duchess of Bedford.
No,
No.
I just kind of forget what
Okay.
ship it was we come home on now.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, you came home,
Yeah,
and you came to Halifax,
come to Halifax, yes.
and then you came home up the valley.
Yep, come home for well, I think we had a month's leave.
Where'd you get demobbed?
Pardon?
Where'd you get out of the service?
At Halifax.
In Halifax.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay.
But in the meantime, my dad had a farm there
Yeah.
in South Williamson, and he was taken sick, so I stayed there until the apple crop was harvested.
Oh yeah.
Then I come back to number 6 depot and
Yeah.
got my discharge.
Jared. Ah yes. So you're still in the army when
Yeah.
you're helping with the apples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you got your discharge,
Yeah.
and you've lived happily ever after.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
And-
Yeah.
And one thing that interesting, my gun crew and I were attached to the Dutch underground
Yeah.
for about possibly 3 hours.
Where are you?
Yeah, and their people had been held up on account of this, the Germans in this trench.
Yes. Yeah.
So they wanted some help to get these people out of the trench.
Yeah.
So they showed me where it was,
Yeah.
and we fired one shot,
Yeah.
and these 3 Germans got out of this train and started going.
With the one shot.
In the meantime, we had the 17-pounder gun then,
Yeah.
and it was set up in front of this big, tall building.
Yeah.
And when we fired, why, pulled every piece of glass out of the front of that building. And
Just firing it.
and there was a few people in the background.
Yeah.
They got going. And they heard this.
Now, sir, you had a great honor bestowed upon you. You got the Bronze Star from the Americans.
Yes, I did, yes.
Yes. Could you tell us, please, how you got that?
Well, this was something that happened on the, from Sluice down to Felice Gap.
Felice Gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Felice Gap.
And the shell had hit close to my gun.
Yes.
And of course we were laying on the ground then.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I had a piece of shrapnel hit my leg
Yeah.
and cut that horseshoe, that steel horseshoe,
Yeah.
right in two.
Oh, dear.
And it paralyzed my leg.
Oh.
Well, one of my gun crew was killed there too.
Was he? Oh.
And the other 2 were wounded.
Yeah.
And we were all on stretchers there waiting to go up to the first aid station.
Yeah.
And our sergeant, our troop sergeant come along,
Yeah.
said they had to have my gun up to there, and he wanted me to get off the stretcher and take it up. So
That's a
I
great
did.
sergeant.
And,
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then during the, well, he took a man from each other the 3 gun crews
Yes, yeah.
and and give to me.
Yeah.
But I finally got a new gun crew altogether.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got up off the stretcher,
Yeah.
and you did this.
I wasn't hurt as bad as I thought I was.
I guess not. But I've heard terrible sergeant stories, but
Yeah.
that's the worst one.
But my
Comes around, collects all the wounded fellows.
Yeah.
Anyway, why did that was an American group you were with, or?
no, this was still Canadian.
Yes, oh yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
how come but the Americans gave you the Bronze Star, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there was probably a Bronze Star that they didn't know what to do with. So they
Come
gave it to
along
me.
now, Albert. They didn't do much of that.
But there was 3 other items
Were
along
there?
the way that
Ah.
one is one at Quincy Woods where
Oh yeah.
I put the fire out,
Uh-huh,
And,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and we went out on patrol that night,
Yeah.
and this is when our officer got wounded too,
Yeah.
and another fellow that was with us got wounded,
Ah,
and well, he got killed. I'm sorry.
yeah. But oh dear. Well, anyway, don't give me that. They just had a Bronze Star. They wanted to get rid of.
Well,
I know very well.
It's
You earned them.
yeah,
Anyway, sir. So now you're back in England,
yeah,
and you come home to Canada.
Yeah.
You go home to where your home is.
yeah,
Help with the apples, and then they demob you.
yeah.
Then what do you do?
Well, before the war, I had taken a course in electricity,
Oh yes. Yeah.
so I tried to get a job with that,
Yeah.
but I finally ended up buying my dad's farm through the DVA,
Ah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
And you were a farmer.
I farmed for a couple of years, and
Yeah.
and the apples were
Yeah.
no longer profitable.
No.
You had to sell them for cider apples,
Yes.
so I went to work in Greenwood.
Ah. Greenwood.
And,
Yeah.
I worked there, I call it 24 years, but it was 3 years and something.
Nice place to work, though, Greenwood.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
that's nice.
decided to quit before my 65th birthday.
Uh-huh.
So I was going to draw unemployment insurance for a year,
Oh, yeah.
but they found 2 jobs for me, and I never did get unemployment
Albert,
insurance.
did you get married?
Oh, I was married before the war.
You were married before the war.
Oh,
You
yes.
kept that a dear secret.
Well, I didn't mean to, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I did, and I had 2 daughters,
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
that's very
and
nice. Very nice.
and they're both living in Lawrencetown,
Are they? Oh, that's
and they come up
wonderful.
and entertain me every
Yes.
week.
And they will love this tape when they see it. I'm
Well,
sure.
I hope
Yes, they
they
will.
do. And
Which one is the Bronze Star that you're wearing?
This one here is the Bronze Star.
That's the Bronze Star, okay. And this one over here.
This one
now,
here is.
I've never.
This one here has got my name on it.
Oh, yes.
It's
I
still
see
got
that.
some cleaning powder on it too.
Good. This one over here.
Oh, this is my 50 years in the Legion.
In the Legion. I never saw
Yeah.
one of those.
No.
50 years in the
Yeah.
Legion. That's a
And,
long membership.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I joined the Legion when I was in Aldershot that
Yes.
first year. And
What's this one? That little ball.
this is the American Bronze Star.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's marvelous.
And-
That's marvelous. Yeah.
And anyhow, we used to come down to the Kentford Legion.
Yes.
We used to run down and
Yeah.
have a beer and then run back to get back there before 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
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 And,
Well, Albert, you've had a wonderful career,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
And you've had a lovely life.
yeah. And the next time I had anything to do with the Legion, I joined the Bridgetown Legion,
Did you?
who presented me with the
Yeah.
Bronze Star with the
Oh,
help of the
Yes, yeah.
American Council in Halifax and
Yeah.
the president of the Bridgetown
Right,
branch.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for coming today
Well,
and telling us your story.
thank you.
And it's
For having
certainly-
me.
Certainly a pleasure. It's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
And I hope to see you again.
Well,
And thank you.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And say hello to your daughters, please.
I'll do that. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking to Mr. Albert Lewis Fitz Randolph. And I think it was just a wonderful story, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And now I'd like to thank Link Cable. I'd like to thank the Legion. I'd like to thank our producer, Mr. Lawrence Caldwell. And I'd like to thank the rest of the Legion for their help in getting these interviews together. And I hope above all that you ladies and gentlemen like watching. Thank you.